And we're live. All right, everybody. Welcome. Glad you are joining us. I am joined today by a wonderful leader and pastor, Rodney Fouts. Rodney, good to have you.
Jonathan, it's good to be with you, and it's good to be part of what you're doing. It's exciting to hear what God's doing in your life, and your team, your church, your leadership is making a difference. Thank you very much.
Well, absolutely, and I'm excited about this conversation. The whole goal behind this is just to be able to talk to some people who can pour into to me, to the people who watch these videos, and to our church. And I'm hoping that I'm just as soon as this conversation's over, that I'm just on fire and ready to go. Sound good to you?
That sounds great to me.
Good. So Rodney's the pastor of North Church in the Oklahoma City area. And Rodney, I've known you for probably 25 years, right? At least. I mean, I knew you as a kid when you were, early 20s, and then got to grow up and do some stuff with you in ministry. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I've had the honor of knowing you for a long time, and you've been not only a friend, but also a mentor. So this is exciting for me to get to ask you questions, and I hope that you take it easy on me, though. Okay.
It's been a long time, and it is an honor to see you from the time you were a kid to now, the man of God you are, with beautiful wife Angela and two incredible kids, and leading a great ministry. So it's an honor.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you take just a moment and give everybody more of a full picture of who you are, where you're born, how you got into the role that you're in now, and just give us a little bit of information and background about yourself.
Okay, well, going back to born, that's a long time. But
tell us about
real
Spyro.
Quickly, real quick. I grew up in a small town in East Oklahoma, a little town called Spyro. Dad was a farmer, farmed a lot of acreage, about 2,000 plus acres of land. So I grew up on a farm. Tell people I milked a cow by hand every day to get milk for my cereal, and that's the truth. And so, but anyhow, I came out of there, went to Oklahoma State University, graduated with a degree in biochemistry. I also met my lovely wife there. We were involved with a ministry called Chi Alpha Christian Fellowship. After graduating, we went on to be the campus pastor there at Oklahoma State. Did that for a few years until I was elected by the Assemblies of God. There's about 500 churches in the state of Oklahoma, nearly, that elected me to be their state director of youth ministry. Served in that role for 6 years until we left that position to plant a church from scratch in Edmond, Oklahoma, North Oklahoma City area. Had 3 people in our first meeting. Those 3 people, I did not even know who was going to be there. One was a neighbor. And then I had 2 people who had just moved from Texas that joined us. And so that's how we started. And now today we have been blessed with a lot of people that gather every single week in Oklahoma City, in Guthrie, Freedom House in Chakotah, Oklahoma. And as you know right now, like everybody's dealing with, we're not actually gathering in person. So we're not touching, hugging, high-fiving. We are doing that online because of what's going on with COVID-19. So that kind of brings you up to speed with me. My wife and I have been married now for 28 years.
Wow.
We've got 3 amazing children, Gavin, 26, Phaedra, 24, Annabeth, 22, and Gavin and his wife, Haley, have now given us our first grandchild. So we are thrilled about that.
That's awesome.
He is 11 months old, named Gideon, and a second child is getting married in April 25th. Now this current crisis may be changing how we do that wedding, but that's the plan right now. And then my youngest is graduating this semester from Tulsa University.
Right. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Now, I want to clarify something before we're going to talk about the importance of leadership today, but I want to clarify something briefly. You planted North Church 17 years ago?
Correct. It's actually in Well, here in just a couple of weeks, it's going to be 18 years.
18 years. So just a little bit of perspective. 18 years ago, church planning was very different than it is now. It was not the hip, cool thing to do. There was there were very few organizations that had the resources available that really believed in church planners. I jumped on the bandwagon when it was cool. But just so everybody knows, when you did it, you were really jumping in with not the same amount of resources available that church planners have today. Could you comment on that?
Well, that's true. It's true in that there was not the helps, there was not the resources that you have today. Back then, there was very little training organizations
Right.
to be able to help guys and gals to be able to prepare for a church planting. There was very little resources available for people to draw funds from like there are today. But bottom line is this, even though it was not, those things weren't easily accessible and it's a little cooler today, it's still hard.
Right.
It's still hard today, just like it was 18 years ago, like it's going to be 18 years from now. When you start something from scratch, and that something being a church, it is not an easy adventure. Even if you have resources at your fingertips, it's still a hard task to start something from scratch and build up a church.
Sure. So I'm excited to talk to you about leadership. I know you as a man of God. I know you as a leader, and I just want to kind of jump right in. Let's talk about leadership. When did this whole topic or idea of leadership, when did you personally see the necessity of developing leadership skills? When did you become passionate about leadership?
Well, I think that in even growing up, I was thrown into some leadership roles early on. So I know that people we say, are they born leaders or are they not? Maybe there's some natural giftings there. But early on in my life, I was forced into leadership, whether that be on the farm and my dad saying, hey, go take care of making sure this field is done. And I had, 10 guys working for my dad that ultimately somebody had to give direction. And I may have been the one responsible for those 10 guys. And here I am, a teenager, whether it be on the sporting field, whether football, basketball, and I was the point guard in basketball making some decisions, or the quarterback on the football team, or the shortstop on the baseball team. In every avenue of life, I started noticing early on, somebody steps up and leads. Somebody
Right.
stands up and makes the right decision. Somebody stands up and says, this is the way to go. Let's go there. As I began to get into ministry, I began to see the value of that at a whole nother level, especially from the standpoint of ministry being, you have so many volunteers, people that you're not paying to do a job. It's one thing to lead when you pay somebody money and say, go do this. It's another thing to lead people that there's no financial or monetary incentive. You got to convince them that there is a bigger picture and greater cause that is worth jumping on board and helping accomplish this goal or vision, whatever it may be. So I began to see it early on, and then as through ministry, and begin to see that if we're going to grow something, whether that be as a district youth director, whether it be back in OSU when I was the Chi Alpha director, I began to realize I can't do it without people. And to lead people,
Right.
to have people, you got to lead them.
That's good. So I also want to make another clarification here, which is the next question. But when we use the word leadership, it's very easy for people, and I used to think this way, it's very easy for people to say, well, leaders are CEOs. When you use the word leadership, you must be talking only about senior pastors or politicians or, people who have real power. But in a sense, leadership is for yes, but is leadership really for everybody?
Well, yes, leadership is for everybody. And that leadership may look different in context,
Right.
but the same skills, the same courage. Leadership is influence.
It's good.
And whether you are a teacher in a classroom with 20 students, you've got to influence them, or that room is going to get chaotic and crazy, and you won't accomplish any of the goals. And it takes leadership. If you are a work-at-home parent and you've got one kid, you got somebody that you're responsible for influencing and leading. And don't think for a second, you can take somebody, a CEO of a company leading hundreds of people, and you throw them in one room with one child, and their leadership skills are going to be tested every bit as much as behind a desk giving out directives to 300 people you're leading.
Good. Yeah. And I heard somebody explain this one time. It was very helpful. Said, there are doers and there are leaders. Doers will you can give them a task and they'll do it. But you want to develop leadership skills to where they can see not just the formula of a task or take something and just check it off the list, but be able to see a bigger picture to imagine what it would be like to do something better than they did before. And I think that that's key for people, is not just to be a doer, but to be a leader.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Jonathan, that is so true. Because the more people you invite along the journey with you and can paint this picture of what you want to accomplish, the more you can do as a team.
That's right.
We can do more together than we can alone. Isolation, I mean, and there's a shared experience too when you do something with somebody. If you're a doer and you're just checking off a box, that's wonderful. You accomplished a few things. And there's some things in my life, if I need to write a check to somebody, I have to sit down and write a check to somebody. I'm doing something. But there's a shared experience when you do something with other people that gives a sense of accomplishment and worth. And we are meant to do things not alone. When God made man, he looked at man and said, it's not good that man be alone. And he made woman. And that wasn't just in a context of a marriage. It was a context of humanity, that we need each other. And all of us have to be doers too. But all of us are called to be leaders also. That's to take someone else along the journey with us, whatever that may be in life.
That's good. That's real good. Let's talk about for a moment teachability. Let me give a quick story. I spent some time at North Church preparing to plant Summit Church, and you preach multiple services a weekend. The first of which it comes on Thursday evening. So you have a Thursday evening experience. And when I first came up to spend some time with you, I went to a Thursday experience. After the service, somewhere between 8, 10, 12 of the staff and volunteers would go up to the media room, and you would just begin to sit down and receive their critique. How did the sermon go? And the first time I watched it, I was blown away because everybody's saying, Pastor, you mispronounced this word. You said this, that didn't make sense. And everybody's just kind of just railing on you. And I was sitting there like, what are y'all doing? But you taught me, you want that. You welcomed that. And that leaders are people who are teachable. That you will put yourself in a situation where you will allow them to critique you. You make yourself a little bit vulnerable. And sometimes leaders don't want to show the people that they lead, whether it's their family or just coworkers in the church, whatever. We don't want people to see our flaws. We don't want to admit that we have things we need to work on. But you modeled that. And talk a little bit about the importance of teachability.
Well, you made a statement there that we don't want people to see our flaws. they see them
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
So when you just open the door and allow them to talk about them, it really, it really opens up a connectivity with you and your audience or the people that you're leading. And to be honest with you, I haven't arrived and none of us have arrived, and I need critique. I need to get better. I want to get better. I think of, you watch NBA basketball players or any other professional athlete at the top of their game. It seems like after every game, they're asked about, what what they learned. I mean, about the game, and they're always talking about how that we just need to get better. We're going to go back and look at
Right.
film. We're going to get better. Why do they do that? Is because they want to continually be better at their craft. And you stop and think about it. If they're an NBA basketball player, they're already one of the top 100, 200, I don't know how many are in the NBA, but probably 200 plus players on the face of the planet.
Right.
There's 7, 8 billion people on the planet, and there's the 200 best, and they say, I want to be better. You take a LeBron James, who is the number one guy on the face of the planet in regards to probably the last 10 plus years, and he says, I want to be better. And so it's not measuring yourself against somebody else. It's measuring yourself against what God has created you to be.
It's good.
And my son, I asked him years ago what he wanted to be. And he said, I want to be the best version of me that God has created me to be. And that just stuck with me. And I think that that should be applying to all of our lives. And we cannot be the best version of ourselves apart from other people helping us. Also, whenever I open myself up, hopefully I'm exempling to others what I want them to also do, is to receive instruction from me, but even more than that, receive instruction from the people around them so that they can get better and raise their level of game.
That's good. That's good. What, in your opinion, what holds people back from leading? If you were to try to pinpoint, what are a couple of things, fear, or like you said, we compare ourselves maybe too much to others. Like I look at Rodney, I can't do what Rodney does. What do you think it holds people back from being leaders?
Well, themselves, number one. Sometimes it's easy to make excuses on why you are not moving forward as a leader. And it's easy to blame it on somebody else. It's easy to say, well, this is not who I am. This is not what God created me to do. I can't do that. I don't have the right people around me.
Yeah.
All of those things are just excuses. Whether you are the 5-talent leader, the 2-talent leader, or the 1-talent leader, according to what I see in God's word, where, the parable where Jesus talked about where one person got 5 talents, one got 2, one got 1. The one with 1 went and buried his because he was afraid. And sometimes it's fear of failure, fear of the unknown that keeps us from moving forward. So I think that that's one thing, Jonathan. But I think also not willing to be vulnerable, not willing to throw yourself out there, because, man, it takes great courage, which is the opposite of vulnerability. It's what it is about being vulnerable. It takes great courage to throw yourself out there and to lead and fail at the same time.
Yeah.
It's hard. And then also, I think pain. Most of the times we do not really move forward as leaders because we just want to avoid pain, because it hurts. It hurts to be criticized by people. So we just choose not to lead. It hurts to confront your own personal struggles and demons and your own personal flaws, and to say, I want to work on that. And I want to be the best version of me that I possibly can be. Pain is probably, I mentioned a couple of things, the fear, the vulnerability, but pain to me probably is the number one thing that keeps people from really moving forward in their leadership capacity, because it just takes hard work. Hard work means pain. That's why people don't get their finances in order, because it's painful to really tighten the belt of your finances and to put things in order and to really begin to pay off that debt and to do whatever it takes. That means if I've got to sell a car, if I got to go, I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's painful to get in shape and to work out. Just when you start working, it's painful to change your eating habits.
Right.
It's the same way for leadership. It's painful to make hard decisions that other people don't like. It's painful to confront the issues that need to change in your life. It's painful to deal with people and tell them the truth so that you and the organization can move forward.
Right.
So to me, that's a big component of this.
That's good. You told me one time, anybody can be a leader for about a week or a month, but it takes grit. And you use that word specifically. It takes grit to be a leader, that I'm going to finish this. I know what the vision is for my life. I know what the vision is for my business, for my family, whatever. It takes a lot of determination. And a leader is someone who a leader is not just somebody who sees what it can be, but has the determination to head there. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, Jesus said, whoever endures till the end shall be saved.
It's good.
And that enduring is a grit.
Yeah.
It's a stick-to-itiveness. It's a showing up. It's getting up every day, moving the ball forward, whatever that is. It is continually saying, okay, I'm just going to take another step forward today.
Right.
I'm going to work at this thing. And that is grit. And so, I agree, Jonathan. Matter of fact, there's a book called Grit, and it's dealing with CEOs. And pretty much what it really deals with is the idea that it's not about great talents and charisma and abilities. All those things have their place in leadership, but had their place. The underlying factor for those who are successful for the long haul is grit. It's that in the grind of everyday life comes glory.
It's good.
But none of us like the grind. The grind is hard. It's difficult. You got to endure through it. But through the grind comes the glory of leadership.
It's awesome. So here's a final question before I ask you a few rapid fire questions. What do you look for in a potential leader? Somebody that you want to bring onto your team. What qualities do you look for in a potential leader?
Well, first off, I want to know, what have they done in the past? We can talk about personalities. We can take all the testing that's out there now. We can find out where they are on the Enneagram. Are they a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? And we have these ideas of what we think is the best type of leader. And I think all of those things have their place, Jonathan, but ultimately I would throw those out the window and just say, show me what you've done. And that show me what you've done could be, did you run a ice cream stand in high school? Mm-hmm. And you got a couple of people working for you, and y'all made a little bit of money and made a few $100s and gave to missions? Did you help run a fireworks stand, and you gave it all the way to Speed the Light, a mm-hmm. missions organization, and you raised $10,000 doing that? Were you the captain of your basketball team in high school? And I'm like, okay, that speaks to leadership. It speaks to things that they've done. Mm-hmm. Have you organized, an outreach in your community? Have you actually taught a Sunday school class or led a small group? And, when you start putting those things together in people's lives, then you begin to find out who are actually leaders. If they have no track record it's really hard to turn that around,
Right.
because even though you can give them the tools to teach them how to lead, uh, you talked about being a doer. Sometimes leaders are just doers. They go out and just begin to do things and invite people along the journey with them. So to me, the number one thing I look at, now we have some things that we look at as a church. We want to look at their competency. We want to look at their chemistry. And so we have a list of few things that we measure and we kind of look at, but I really like to see what have they done.
That's good. And that just speaks to the fact that oftentimes when we just are doing all that we know to do, eventually somebody's going to notice those qualities. Eventually that character is going to shine through, and we'll be noticed for that. That's good. I have a few rapid fire questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
So, hey, what Enneagram number are you?
What would you say I am?
A 3?
Okay. Why is a 3?
The achiever, driven.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you?
No. My wife and my team say I'm an 8.
Okay. What is the 8?
The 8's more of the dominant leader. That's
Gotcha.
but I'm not. I have taken the actual testing, not just even the simple stuff. I paid the big bucks to have it done to find out for sure, and I am a number 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is perfectionist.
There is a right way to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, sometimes people assume I'm an 8 because I am the ultimate leader. And in regards to ultimate leader being, I'm not the ultimate leader. I am the one that's the final say. And I heard Andy Stanley say this, that's, a lot of times they thought he was an 8 because he was the leader of the organization, but really he was a 1. And I think that sometimes just because you're the leader doesn't make you, I just have to make those decisions like an 8 would,
Right.
even though I'm not officially an 8. So I'm more of a 1, and with the wing 2. But anyway, that's what I am.
What would you think I am?
I haven't really just thought about that, but a 4 maybe.
I'm a 5 wing
7.
4. I'm a 5 wing.
Okay, 4. Yeah, I would say that would be about right. Yeah. I would have guessed.
Go ahead.
I would have probably guessed 5 the next one, but yeah, 4 or 5 makes sense.
That's good. Okay, what's the best book you've read recently, or best podcast you've listened to recently that you could recommend?
Wow. Okay, podcast. Let's go with that first. I've got a number of podcasts that I listen to.
Okay, give them to us.
Very much. John. Okay, these are probably some that people haven't heard of.
Okay.
Or at least a lot of people. Jonathan Sacks. He's a Jewish rabbi.
Yeah.
He is kind of the leader of, he has one called the Office of the Rabbi Sacks. Jonathan Sacks, great. Art of Manliness. Art of Manliness.
Right.
Great podcast with a lot of information. Neither one of those are Christian based.
Right.
Though Jonathan Sacks is a Jewish rabbi, Old Testament scholar deluxe. You can get some great teaching from him. Another one that I would highly recommend is Ask NT Wright.
Yeah.
You got to get that. Ask NT. That's in Nancy and Tom Wright. Okay.
Right. I just signed up for his Philippians course. He's offering it for free right now because of coronavirus.
And I have a whole list here, but that's just some of them.
Cool.
But those are ones I would say go get them, because you probably haven't heard of some of those. Go listen.
That's good. All right. What is the favorite part of your job? What's your favorite part of your ministry?
Seeing people's lives change. And I just love that very much. It's so wonderful to be able to see. I got a book going on right now, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. That's the book.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm listening to right now. So I'm listening to that book, The Ruthless how to stay emotionally healthy in crazy times.
Wow.
And so eliminating rush and hurry in our life, that's a great book.
It's good.
So the question again, I love people and I love to see people grow. And when I hear people growing spiritually, making hard decisions, discipling other people, it fills my tank. I love that. When we
Well,
accomplish something as a team, it fills my tank. When I see people stepping up to the plate and assuming leadership and doing things that no one's having to tell them to do, that fills my tank. I love that.
well, I can say that I'm a beneficiary of that, and hopefully people watching this video on our Facebook page or YouTube, they're receiving some of that too. So we appreciate you. And leaders do a lot of things that nobody sees. And you've done things for me personally, for our church, that nobody knows about. But we greatly value your leadership, and thanks for sharing with us the importance of leadership. Last question: OU or OSU? I don't know.
That's a question.
I don't know what it would
That
be.
is a question. Come on, where's my OSU stuff? Oklahoma State. Hey, I'm a Poke for sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Okay, go
Well,
Pokes.
yeah,
And I'm a graduate there. And you know what? National championships. It's not even close.
that's
Not
awesome.
even close. Oklahoma State leads the way. Football. Hey, we talk football. Hey, OU fans, you got it. I give you thumbs up. Accomplishment. Way to go, Sooners. But when it comes to all sports, history, Oklahoma State all the way. Academics, Oklahoma State. Way to go. Hey, Jonathan, thank you so very much.
Yeah,
I've
thank you.
enjoyed our time together. I love you and Angela.
You
It's
too.
great to see what God's doing through you both at Summit Church. And if you're in the area at all, go there. You got a great pastor, a great leader, great people who will love you and point you to Jesus Christ.
Awesome. We appreciate you. And for our folks, if you go to north.church, check out their sermons, check out their videos. They have great content that'll be a great supplement to you. If you go there, I can't preach any more of your messages, so I'll have to be careful there. But yeah, we'll look forward to doing this again. Sound good?
Okay. I would love it,
All
Jonathan.
right.
God bless you.
Take care. Bye.